I, a 17-year-old female, am very young, but I like to think I'm very mature for my age. I do things older people would normally do, like driving a few towns over to go see some friends alone. I'm still very small though, 5'1" and barely 100 pounds. In my state, there are really only 2 big cities that are even known, so everything else is pretty much rural and dead. My friend lives 2 towns over from mine. I live in one of the big cities, so I'm not at all used to driving alone in unpopulated towns. The town between my friends and mine is very dead. It's a really small town with mostly farms, 1 gas station, 1 Kroger's, a McDonald's, and an Arby's, with only a population of like 50. I was driving through the town when my phone died. I stopped at the gas station to get a charger. It was empty except for 1 worker, a super big guy, maybe 6'3", like over 200 pounds, and probably in his late 20s. He seemed very normal, white with curly brown hair and tattoos on his arm. I still had my guard up until I couldn't find the chargers and went to ask him. He complimented my hair, it's dyed, and my guard immediately went down. I hate myself for that. He told me there were no chargers there, then began to ask if I had somewhere to stay for the night, and offered I go with him to his place. I kept declining, but he kept on insisting. I finally went to leave, and he told me the Kroger's would be of help. So I went there. I was looking around when a worker came up to me and said, "Are you OP?" I asked why, and he said my boyfriend was looking for me. That's when I realized he had followed me to Kroger's. I left quickly, but he got to my car already. I went to shut the door, then he held it open, starting a conversation like we were old friends. I finally got my door shut when I saw a little girl, 13 at most, in his car. I called the cops because it was 2 a.m. I don't know what happened after that, but I truly hope that little girl is okay. I, a 20-year-old female, live in a small town. I go to college about 30 minutes away from the main town that people go to for their groceries and other things that they can't get at Dollar General. My friends and I often take the impromptu trip to the town late at night for cookout or Walmart. This night, it was me and my friend Lisa going to Walmart to look at the Halloween stuff. While there, we goofed off for a bit, trying on masks and talking about different costumes we could make. We were looking at the candy when I felt an eerie feeling. At first, I thought it was just my anxiety, so I got Lisa to just move into the book section a few aisles back. We were on different ends of the aisle, and I got the same feeling. I looked up from the book I had and saw a man on the end closest to Lisa, seemingly looking at a display, but he gave me bad vibes. I got closer to Lisa and got her to follow me back up to the front where the period products and makeup was. We got there, and once again we saw him standing next to the fake nails. I then picked up a random bath bomb and dragged her to the back of the store where the milk was, and he followed us there. We made our way quickly through a few food aisles into the self-checkout. We checked out and went outside. I had us both run to my car and locked us in because I could see him walking towards us. I started my car and drove as fast as I could so he wouldn't see my college sticker on my window. Thankfully, we made it all the way back to campus without being pulled over or having any cars behind us for more than a few seconds. This encounter took place a few blocks from my house around 1 a.m. about a year ago. I'm a 6'2", 33-year-old male, so I'm not used to people wanting to mess with me. My puppy was full of energy, so I was going to take him for a walk, trying to tire him out a little while my girlfriend drove to the gas station to get snacks or something. A few blocks from our place, I see our car stop at the street corner. I can't see anything in the car, but I just assumed she saw our pup and wanted to say hi. So as I get closer, the passenger window rolls down, and thinking it's my girlfriend, I approach the car. Instead of being greeted by my lady, I hear a man say, "Hey, sexy." I laughed a little at first, thinking she ran into an old friend at the gas station and was giving him a ride, and they were just messing with me. I admit I was a bit high on ketamine at the time, so I was taking a second to process the situation. The man asked if I wanted to hang out with him. I politely said no thanks. Then he says,
"I bet you have a big dick in them sweatpants."
I told him that he is fucking nasty and that I'm not gay. Dude then offers me $120 to get in his car with him. I said not a chance, I'm not like that. And I decide the little guy and I need to get away from this dude. I start to power walk past his car. I had a bad feeling about this guy. Then he tells me to get in the fucking car. The pup and I dip out of there and head back for home. Dude got out of his car for a second before getting back in his car and taking off. We went around the block before the car pulled up again. I figured I couldn't outrun him, so I was ready to fight. When the window rolled down, it was my girlfriend asking if we needed a ride, which she never does. We hopped in the car and I started bawling my eyes out. I couldn't even explain what happened until we were home. My girlfriend said that something told her to check on us. I believe this guy may have wanted to possibly kidnap me. It was very frightening and gave me a whole new appreciation for what women go through all the time. So for some background information, me and my friend are both reasonably scrawny teenage girls. We were camping, and it was very foggy outside. It was like mid-evening. So my friend and I were hanging out at the beach, looking at all the sandcastles from the competition that took place earlier that day. We had to use the bathroom and wash the sand off our feet, etc. So she was washing her feet off and I was going into the bathroom, and I heard the distinct sound of keys jangling. So after I got out of the bathroom, my friend was waiting for me just outside, and I asked her if she had seen anyone leave the bathroom, but she had just gotten there apparently. We were just standing around when I heard the keys again. I looked up and saw a man. He was in his mid to late 20s, early 30s at the latest. He had extremely greasy blonde hair, sunken eyes, a hoodie on with the hood up. Overall, a pretty sketchy looking dude. He circled the bathrooms me and my friend were standing by a few times after that, but he was always watching us when we were in view, which I took note of. My friend still didn't notice though. Anyway, a minute or two later, she asks me if I wanted to go sit at a picnic table with her, and I accepted because I wanted to get away from him. So we walked over to the table, but he followed us, and I know because of his keys. We sat at the table, and she was talking to her boyfriend on Snapchat, and I was reading over her shoulder, as I normally do. But while I was reading with her, I told her that the guy was watching us, and about what I had noticed before we went to the table. As I was telling her about it, I felt like I was being watched, so I looked over and made direct eye contact with the guy who had the keys. After we both gave an awkward smile, he broke eye contact. He walked over to another man who I didn't get a good look at, and they kept looking at my friend and I. So we got up and walked over to the little playground near where we were. We just kind of talked, but this time she was paying attention to where the guys were. Not even a minute later, the two men walked by over to a small patch of woods that had a red car parked near it. Due to where I was sitting, I couldn't see the men anymore, but my friend could, and she said the blonde one kept peeking back at us from behind a tree, and the other one was out of sight. So we decided to use this to our advantage, and we ran over to the little restaurant type thing, which gave us a clear view of them, and them a clear view of us. The blonde guy got into the car with who we believe to be the other guy. Now, our fight or flight was kicking in, and we both chose flight. So we went behind the restaurant, which was closed, and had been for around an hour. We both ran down the stairs to behind a transport truck that had been there since early the day before, so we knew the driver wasn't there. My friend looked out from behind the truck and saw the car from earlier circling around the area. So as soon as it was out of sight, we ran as fast as we could. And thankfully, there were other people around, so we calmed down, knowing that the guys probably wouldn't come for us with the other people there. We made it back to our campsite safely, and watched movies and stuff before we went to bed. We didn't see the guys again for the rest of the trip. Now, I know that probably wasn't the scariest of encounters, but it left us shaken to the core, because who knows what would have happened if I wasn't always hyper aware of my surroundings. I, a 31-year-old female, had a very uncomfy experience at work tonight. I wanted some thoughts to make sure I'm not overreacting. For backstory, I've been helping at a small family-owned convenience store down the street from my house for the past few months. It's just a husband, wife, and their niece, so they needed someone else for a family emergency, and they trust me. That said, it's kind of a shady gas station. Lots of strange people come through. I'm not exactly someone who blends into a crowd like this. Anyways, this guy came in earlier, and I heard him say, "Wow," when he saw me, and then he started complimenting my hair. I said thanks and told him his total. Not an abnormal interaction, but it's just the way he looked at me that threw red flags all over the situation. After I gave him his total, he claimed he left his card in the car. He said he was going to look for it, so I was like, no problem. I helped a couple of other people in the store. A minute after those two, he came back in, this time holding his phone oddly to his chest. Then he started asking me where he was. I was like, well, I think it would be easier to tell you where you're going if you're turned around. I told him the name of our current road. He told me where he wanted to go, the very next town over. So I just gave him basic directions to the town he was going towards, which is literally a straight shot down the road he was on. Then he started complimenting me again about my eyes, my eyebrows, asked my height, my age, if I was single, so I just redirected again or lied. About my age, I said older than I am. I'm told I look a lot younger than I am. I get early 20s a lot. After ignoring his last question, I asked if he still wanted the stuff he came in for. He said yes. I told him his total, and he was like, "Oh, I left my wallet in the car." This was at the same time another customer had pulled up. He had sat his phone down on the counter and forgot it when he walked out to go get his wallet. It was open on a video. I immediately started calling my husband, who was seconds away. Sure enough, I clicked on the recent video, and he had been recording our conversation. I deleted it. Then I went into recently deleted and deleted it there too. The man walked back in. He gave me a $5 bill, and I asked him if he found his card. I also told him his phone had been going off on the counter and not to forget it again. He was like, "My card? Oh no. I have other cards." Okay, then why did you need to leave to go get it? But I just said okay and to have a nice day. So then he went and sat in the parking lot with the door open until my husband pulled up. He left the opposite way as my husband, and of course, neither of us could see a tag number. It was such a concerning encounter. I didn't like it at all. How are you lost holding a phone with signal? Obviously, as it was getting messages, but he was claiming to be lost when Google Maps exists. And why were you recording me? What the actual fuck? I don't want to be at work anymore right now. Hello, chill and thrill seekers. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell to be alerted of all future videos.